Okay, as promised in my bream fishing video the other day on Milford, I hope you guys watched that, I hope you enjoyed it. Loads of fish, thoroughly enjoyable session. At the end of the video I did promise to show you how I made the rig. So I'm going to show you how I made the 2 up 1 down flapper with the little pink pop-ups and the size 2 wormers, etc. First things first, let's have a quick run through of all the components and the bits and bobs you're going to need, and then we'll start tying up. Rig body. A good quality monofilament rig body line. I'm using the Tronix Pro Xenon. I'm using the 0.50mm for this rig. That's a nice sort of light flapper rig body. The snood line, so the hook link line. I'm using fluorocarbon. I'm using the Seaguar Harris in 0.33. I love Seaguar line. I think it's one of the best one of the best fluorocarbons you can buy. The Harris is a good value for money one, so you don't have to spend hundreds of pounds on fluorocarbons like some of them are. At the top of the rig, so my top clip is the size 1 match rig clips. At the bottom of the rig, some medium quick links. And then in the middle, we'll have some glue beads clear and some size 8 stainless steel power swivels. On the pointy end, I used the Yuki AX63 wormers in size 2. And I was using some of the pink Yuki pop-ups. Again, with the hooks and the pop-ups, there's loads of different types you can use. There's Sami wormers, obviously very popular. Pop-ups, there's yellow ones, there's white ones, there's green ones, there's orange, there's loads of different types, but I'm using this in this video because that's what I was using in my session the other day. Tools-wise, a tape measure, or a ruler, or something to measure some line with. Some line snips. I do prefer the sort of nail clipper style snips to scissors. You get a much more accurate line cut, especially when you're cutting the tags on your knots. I use a knot puller. We're going to need a line rest. This is a Stonfo line rest. A cocktail stick. And some Tronix Pro fishing glue. And one other thing I will need is a bit of tissue of some description. Just to wipe the glue off our cocktail stick to save ourselves sticking ourselves to our board. Right, I think that's everything we need. Let's get cracking. Okay, I'm sure you've had enough of looking at my ugly mug, so let's get into the detail of what we're doing. So to start off with, I'm going to tie up the rig body part. So I've got one of my size 1 match clips, one of my medium quick links, which is going to be my lead link. I've got 3 of my size 8 stainless swivels, and 6 of my glue beads. I'll probably need to get some more glue beads out in a minute when I drop these ones on the floor. First things first, my top clip I'm going to tie to my rig body line. 1, 2, 3, 4, very simple 4 turn half blood knot. I'm sure you have your own preferences on knots, but that's mine. Always used it. Trim that tag. Nice and tight. Now, we'll get our tape measure. And we're going to measure just over 4 foot, because we're using going to tie a 2 up 1 down flapper with 2 foot snoods. That means our top snood is going to go down 2 foot down the rig body. Our middle snood is going to then start and go another 2 foot down on the rig body. And then we'll have a bottom snood right down the bottom with our lid clip. So we just measure off 4 foot of line and then another sort of few inches of tying space. Trim that off. That's the last time you'll need the tape measure, so that can go over there. So far all we have is a size 1 match clip tied to 4 and a bit foot of line. Now it's just the threading up bit. So we just go bead. Can't even pick a swivel up. Swivel. And bead. Like so. And then we're going to repeat that a couple more times. Bead. Swivel. Bead, and last bead, swivel, bead. I'm quite proud of myself. I did all that without dropping any of the beads. Only took me 47 takes. Right, so we've got bead, swivel, bead 3 times on our rig body. Now let's tie on our medium quick link down the bottom there. 1, 2, 3, 4. Nice, slow and steady pull down when you're pulling your knots. Try not to jerk anything. And again, trim that nice and neatly. There we go. So now we have a rig body, clip at the top, bead, swivel, bead 3 times, and a clip down the bottom. That bit was easy. Now we've got to glue it all in place. You might think, oh, this is the hard part. It's not. This is incredibly easy. I love gluing my rigs because it's neat, it's tidy, it's quick, it's efficient, and it's cheap. So, first things first, get the top clip. So this is the top of my rig. Isolate one set of the bead, swivel, bead. Put your line into the slots of your line rest. Put it tight as you can, and then pull the line so that the clip is butting up against the line rest there. I'm going to repeat the process with the bottom snood. So again, I'm going to bottom clip, isolate those 2 beads and swivel into the line rest and pull it so that clip butts up. So there we go. So that's our snood swivels at the top and the bottom of our rig. And now what we need to do is find the centre of the rig, which is really easily done. All you do is you just hold those 2 bits of line, run your fingers all the way along it, and then that part is bang in the middle of the rig body. So once you've got the rig body centre part, push that into your jig as well. So now we have bead, swivel, bead my top snood, bead, swivel, bead my middle snood, and bead, swivel, bead as my bottom snood. So I'm going to push the 2 beads so they squashed up against the swivel. Because what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a tiny little drop of glue either side of each of those beads, and then carefully move the bead out onto the glue. This way, if you do it the other way around, like, to be fair, I used to have my beads out there and put a blob of glue here and move it towards. Inevitably, you'd end up sticking your swivel to the rig body at some point. So doing it this way around, A, avoids sticking your swivel to the rig body, but also gives a really uniform, neat and tidy spacing on your beads. Right, so with the glue, it's a tiny little drop. So there's a little blob there. Oh, that's too much already. Little blob there, little blob there, there, and there. So we've now got 6 little spots of glue either side of my beads. Nice thing about this glue is you've got working time. I mean, I could waffle on for the next minute or so now, and this glue isn't going to set until I push my bead onto it. So just very carefully with the other end of your cocktail stick, just push your bead onto your bit of glue like that, and you can see the glue actually drawing into the bead. Bit of capillary action to give it a posh turn. Repeat with that one, repeat with that one, and that one, and that one, and that one. There we go. So there's a little bit of excess glue, especially on that first one I did, so I'm just going to wipe that off with my cocktail stick and just touch up, make sure there's no excess glue anywhere. There you go. So that is the rig body done. That is the gluing part done. Really quick and simple. What I would normally do, I'd have sort of 3 or 4 of these line rests. So I'd glue up one, then I'd make another rig body. By the time I've made that, cut it up, put it on another line rest and glued it up, and then done the 3rd one, by the time I finish the 3rd one, the first one is set. And I can take that off, tie on my snoods, and away we go. And keep rotating around like that. So if you're making lots of rig bodies, get yourself a few of these, and it just speeds up the process. Okay, this has had a few minutes to go off. The glue is now set enough to be workable. I'm going to pull the rig off my jig and get some snoods on the body. A couple of ways you can do the snoods. The way I do it is I will tie my line straight to the snood swivel, measure it down on the rig body and trim it just before the next swivel starts, and then repeat the process with the other two snoods. Or if you like, you can actually tie your 2 foot length of line with a hook and everything. So tie your hook on, measure 2 foot, trim it, and then add it to the rig body. Whichever way you fancy, really. But let's do it my way. So, get my fluorocarbon snood line, tie it onto my first snood swivel there, 2, 3, 4 times, nice simple knot. Again, pull that nice and tight, trim off the tag. Now what we're going to do is hold both the snood and the rig body with my finger and thumb and run it down until I get to the next swivel on the rig body, which is here, and I'm going to just trim that snood line there. It's really important to not let your hook, your snood, reach the next swivel, because that'll tangle even more. So once I've done that, I'm going to do the other two. Cut. And that is our snoods measured up. So now all we need to do is add the pop-ups and the hooks. So let's start with the top. These pop-ups, let me just sort of try and isolate one there. So these pop-ups are brilliant bits of kit because they've got a line gripper stop inside the pop-up. So they're self-gripping. You can buy other types of pop-up which aren't self-gripping, which are cheaper and more reusable, because these aren't, once they're on the line, you can't reuse them onto another bit of line. But with these ones, there's a pop-up, sorry, on a little length of wire with a loop of wire at the top there. All you need to do, grab your snood line, just tuck your snood line ever so slightly into that loop of wire, and then I'm going to grab with my finger and thumb, grab that pop-up and slide it from the wire onto my snood, like so. And once it's on the line, that grips the line, so it won't sort of slide, it won't go all over the place. It stays put on the line, but you can easily adjust it should you wish. Really useful bits of kit. So once I've added the pop-up, I'm going to tie on my hook. 1, 2, 3, 4. Trim that tag, especially when you're doing your snood line and tying on your hook. Trim that as close as you can, so you haven't got a length of line stuck out. If there's a sort of a length of line stuck out at 9 degrees like that, when you're threading a worm on, that tag of line will catch the worm and it won't help with your baiting up, or your bait presentation. So trim it nice and neat. Right, there we go, so that is the top snood done. So, top snood, 2 foot of line, pop up and swivel. Hook. It was all going so well, wasn't it? I'm just going to repeat the process with the other two. Pull that knot down, trim that tag. And that's the rig done. That is it. Finitoed. So to have a quick recap, shall we? So we've got size 1 match clip at the top, 050 rig body, 4 and a bit foot of, all the way down to my medium quick link down there, which is going to have my lead attached to it. And then my snoods are held in place by a size 8 stainless steel power swivel with a couple of glue beads, clear glue beads glued in place. 2 foot snood, little pop up to my size 2 wormer. And that is as good a bream rig as you'll ever find. A 2 up, 1 down, 2 foot flapper is about as universal and useful a rig as you'll ever make, to be fair. So I can use that exact same rig body and I can just perhaps change the hooks. Maybe just put some Aberdeens on, and I can go sole fishing and place fishing with it. I could use a slightly longer rig body, but exactly the same setup with longer snoods. I could do 3-foot snoods. That's what I like for my pop-up fishing when I'm fishing for mackerel and scad. I even go as long as 6-foot snood, so that whole rig body is about 13 foot long when I'm fishing for garfish and things like that in deeper water. Yeah, 2 up, 1 down flapper. Super easy and deadly. Last but by no means least, let's wrap it around a rig winder. We're ready to be used. There we go. Ready to go fishing.